We're going to be talking about how to install an oversized rotor kit. All Galfer oversized rotor kits are 270 millimeters, and we're going to be installing it on one of our Rockstar Suzuki race team bikes. In this case, we've chosen to install a Tsunami oversized kit, Tsunami being the race version of all our oversized kits. Oversized kit should always include some brake pads, a 270 millimeter Galfer full floating rotor, and a bracket, being this piece right here. If any of these pieces are missing, you need to go back to your shop and make sure that you get the right amount of product needed for installation. First thing we're going to do is we're going to take the stock wheel off, and we're going to remove the stock rotor, and we're going to install the new rotor, the new Galfer oversized rotor. The rotors themselves are non-directional. You bolt it on, and you just make sure that the Galfer name is shown on the system. You're going to be reusing the stock bolts. Most of the time, OEM requires that you, when you bolt them back up, you use blue or red Loctite. So you just go ahead and purchase some and install them back up. This is the original rotor, and that's the Galfer rotor. As you can see, you're going bigger. You're getting a much bigger sweeping area on the oversized kit. That's going to require that we install next a bracket that it's going to allow to push that caliper away and allow for the bigger sweeping areas. We've taken the stock wheel out. We've replaced the Galfer, the stock rotor with a Galfer rotor on the stock wheel. And now we are going to mount a bracket directly onto the stock original mount system. You're going to remove the caliper, install our bracket by reusing the stock bolts. Once the bracket is reinstalled, you go ahead and reinstall the caliper on top of the bracket. So this is what it ends up looking like. Again, we install the bracket on top of the OEM original mount. Then we grab the caliper and we install it on top of our bracket. And we're reusing all of the pieces that already were on the system. There is no need to go out and purchase anything else on this system. All of the oversized kits include installation instructions for the bracket. You do have to reuse and spring, as well as you need to lubricate some of the caliper assemblies that you're going to be reusing. So do make sure that read through the instructions. The instructions are very clear, and it tells you what pins and what rubber grommets need to be reused to install back on the bike again. We've gone ahead and reinstalled the front wheel. You do want to make sure before you try to put the front wheel back on that your caliper pistons are open and that the brake pad, it's going to leave you enough space to put the rotor back inside. Otherwise, you're going to try to put the rotor inside and you're going to be fighting with the brake pads. Once the system has been installed, you need to make sure that the wheel spins freely and that there's nothing, again, hitting anywhere. You should not be hearing any grinding sounds or anything like that. Once you've seen the system, it's spinning freely, what we usually do is we hold on to the brake lever and then start the process of tightening everything up. By doing that, what we're doing is we are allowing for the caliper and the rotor and the wheel to line up itself. So once you've held on to the brake lever, you come back down over here and you start tightening everything up. You're going to be tightening. The first thing is the caliper bolt bracket to the new bracket now. That's 10 foot-pounds of torque. Obviously, follow your OEM. On this bike, it's 10 foot-pounds of torque. Perhaps on a different bike, it might be different. Then you're going to bolt. Make sure that your your rotors are bolted properly. Those, I believe, are 14 foot-pounds of torque. And then you're going to center, lastly, the one on the center axle, and that's 24 foot-pounds of torque on this machine. So again, we're going to go from the outside towards the inside, lining everything up properly. What we're looking for at the end is perfect wheel spin, not to have any drag whatsoever. Once everything is tied up, the front oversized kit, it's ready to go and install.